Welcome back, software engineers. Now, we've been going through the process of creating a project from scratch in a short, compressed timeline using software engineering techniques. We've gone through the communication step where we look at and say, what is our need? What does it need to do when we solve that need? And even going through the process of validating that need. One of the things that we have to do, however, is sometimes go a little bit further. Well, sometimes there's things that the average customer end user may not know about. And so this is when we need to bring in something called a SME, an SME, or a subject matter expert. That is someone who's an expert on this type of project. So you might need to bring in someone who has some legal experience. Is there anything that's going to cause an issue with this from a legal perspective? You might need to bring in a security expert. Hey, are we properly encrypting personal information to ensure that it's stored safely? We might need to bring in someone who just has been in the field for a while. These are all examples of someone who's a subject matter expert. Now, there's a couple ways that we can do this. Number one is we can reach out to an individual. We'll often have to pay them. This can be a variety of things, anything from a certain standard fee that they might charge as a consultant, to maybe just going out and buying them lunch or dinner and talking over, kind of picking their brain. You may need to talk to a couple of them. And what happens if you don't have that opportunity? Maybe you don't know anyone and you don't have a lot of cash on hand to go pay for a consultant. Well, let's take a quick look at another option that we could wind up using. Welcome to ChatGPT. Now, I'm sure you've heard of this. Whether or not you've used it or not, that's okay. That's actually been out for several years. It became really popular just over a year ago. And we want to know, okay, how can we use this tool to help us? Now, a lot of people are very anti-ChatGPT, and they're like, oh no, you can't trust this. Well, that's not always the case. In fact, it can provide information that a standard web search may not be able to. It can open you up to new ideas and new thoughts, unlike a regular search engine can, and we can actually use this a variety of ways. So for the tool that we're using, I'm just going to show you a couple things I might need to do. Now, I know from the research that I've already done that in an employee 360 review system, employees need to have a series of questions about other employees to determine how effective they are or are not. The problem is, a lot of times, these are going to be more like trade secrets. They're going to be harder to find out. So I'm going to come in here at ChatGPT, which can scour a lot of different areas and pieces of information and start to bring them all together. So I might ask a question like, I might go ahead and give it a prompt. So I give it a prompt that I can use, and I'm going to send the message. And I'm going to take a look at this and say, hey, what are the categories of questions I might want to ask? And then I can start looking at this saying, hey, are these questions that make sense for me to ask in the basic category? Sometimes they are, sometimes they're not. So for example, on goal achievement and development, it already gives me 3 separate questions that I can ask. Now, I have to be careful, and this is where a lot of people don't like using ChatGPT, is maybe these questions are more ones that a manager would ask of an employee, not an employee asking another employee. So over here, I can have a question like, under a category of customer-client interaction, how well does an employee interact with other customers or clients? Well, and another employee might see an employee interacting with customers. That might be a great question for them. However, when I see goal achievement and development, what steps has an employee taken to enhance their skills and professional development? That one's a little bit harder. Is that one really applicable? That's a question that I'm going to have to decide. Now, I can go in here and seek clarification. I can go in here and ask it to expand or maybe give additional questions on a certain category if I want to. It's gone in and given me about 3 questions per category. Maybe I want 5 or 6. So this is all how I can do it. by giving it good prompts and giving it better prompts to help it learn what to do. Now, sometimes people don't like using ChatGPT also because they didn't quite get what they were looking for. Well, I want you to think back maybe a few years to when you first started using a search engine. Did you always get the answer that you wanted right away, or were you often having to go in and tweak what you asked the search engine? If you were like me, you probably did a lot of tweaking, and now you don't do as much. You've learned how to use that tool. And ChatGPT and the other many open language models that they have out there are very, very similar. It's a tool to use. It cannot do it for you. You have to use this tool. And just like a word processor like Word or Google Docs makes your life so much easier compared to handwriting or even using a typewriter, ChatGPT can help save you a lot of time. Does it replace legal advice, medical advice, other things like that? No. Is this a tool that can help you? Yes, but always verify its results. There's other tools out there, and Perplexity is a new one that I've been seeing, which it apparently is very good at giving accurate and fact-based information, at least based upon what it can find online, and giving references to that information, kind of like you would give references in a research paper. So that might be another tool that you might want to look at, as well as many others for figuring out, hey, is this the best thing that we can do? What do I need to tweak? What do I need to provide? With information like this, though, I can cut my time down, shaving a week or two off a project here and there while staying up to date and valued. So take a look at something like this. It's a great help. It's not the be-all, end-all, but it is a great way to help reduce the amount of work that you have to do if you use it effectively. Stay tuned for our next video where we're going to start looking at other things. We start actually designing and building that project, moving on to that design and modeling phase where we're going to use something called use cases to help us determine all those requirements that we've talked about and get them met. So stay tuned for that video. It's next in this playlist.